Hello and welcome to Business Matters, the show about people behind businesses that help make Tacoma a great place to live and work. I'm your host, Mike Work, and today on In the Spotlight, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches made in Tacoma. On District Focus, the Old Town Business District is featured with gorgeous waterfront views matched with shopping, restaurants, and plenty of things to do. And on this episode of Tacoma Means Business, Andrew Fry focuses on the philosophy of establishing your corporate culture. And today my guest is Allison Bishens of Allison Bishens Consulting. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you for having me.
So you're usually a behind-the-scenes kind of business person because you're a consultant who specializes in social media for small businesses.
That's right. I am a small business consultant, so I help businesses grow, sometimes through mentoring and often through social media management training. So I actually bring businesses in and sit them down for 2 to 3 hours and teach them how to manage their own social media marketing.
So this is really interesting because usually when I see social media consulting, these are people who want to come in and do the work for you, but that's not what you do. What you do is help small business people understand how they can better leverage their social media, and surprisingly, it's not as expensive or time consuming as they think generally. Is that right?
That's right. I've done social media management in the past, which means to actually, take over an Instagram feed or a Facebook account for a business. And I just really don't like it. I don't think that it serves the business. It's very expensive for them. I don't think it serves the customer because you're removing the authenticity of social media. The thing that makes social media so wonderful is that it can show an authentic side to a business that the customer might not otherwise see. And if you insert someone in there who's doing the management for them, you lose that. You lose that authenticity. And so I would rather teach a small business how to manage their own social media and how to, take photographs that resonate with customers, how to write captions that resonate with customers, how to, what kinds of things to post, rather than doing the work for them. So it's sort of like the adage of, if you give a man a fish, then he can eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, then they can do it for a lifetime. So that's my philosophy.
With social media, you're creating a lot of fishers out there.
Exactly, yeah.
So the reason that it's not as effective to have a third party outside of the business's posting is because the people who are seeing the Facebook posts or the Instagram posts can tell it's not authentic. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm sure that there are exceptions. I'm sure that there are social media managers out there who are just so good at it that I don't even know that it's a social media manager. Yeah. But for the most part, I can tell when someone's feed is being managed by a social media manager.
Because you're out there on social media all the time.
I am, yeah. And I think that what you see is great posts, with great content and great pictures, but it doesn't seem like they're having real engagement with their customers, which is what makes social media so incredible, is that you can interact on a day-to-day basis with your customers in a way that 10 or 15 years ago was completely impossible.
Right.
And so people can refer their friends to you very easily just by tagging them or sharing the link with them. That's new in the last 10 to 15 years. And so if you treat it like traditional marketing, where it's I have to get all of the information out in front of people on a daily basis, and this is exactly what I have to do, then you're sort of losing this democratizing capacity of social media.
The social component.
Exactly, the social component. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. So if you are just doing, pretty posts that have good captions, you'll have some followers. But what I have found with my business personally and with other businesses as well is that if you can show people who you are as a business and what you value and how you made the product and where it came from and how carefully you resource your materials, then that's going to engender an enormous amount of trust and communication with your customers that you otherwise there's no other way to do that.
So if I'm a business person and I'm whatever level of experience and how much I am into my social media, I might be thinking, what? I have to do this personally? It's about me? And that might be a little bit of a surprise. I thought it was something somebody else can do.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that?
Well, I like to tell small businesses that they are their brand, whether they like it or not. So if you have a small business, like you're a coffee shop, excuse me, and you have, let's say, 4 staff people, right? You and those staff people are your brand.
Right.
And so even if you want to think of your coffee shop as being, this separate thing that has its own branding, when those people are coming in and interacting with you every day, you become part of that brand.
Okay.
And so if you are on social media and you're just posting about the coffee shop, right?
Right.
Every picture is a picture of coffee art or of like the space or of the art on the walls. Well, that's great. But if you don't show me more about the people that work there and why they love coffee so much, and that they got new beans in and here's what they taste like, and sort of show us that personal side to the business, you're not going to lose business because you don't show that, but you will gain business if you show
do.
that.
So probably what business people don't understand is things they take for granted. The passion that they brought to starting their business, and things that contribute to the quality of what they think is their product and their service. All they need to do is talk about that, which is probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, and I encourage people, I say don't be humble. Nobody wants to buy your mediocre product. They want to buy something that they're really excited about. And one of the ways of making them really excited about it is to teach them what went into it. So how you source the materials and why you created that product in the first place. What problem does it solve? What pain point does it hit for people? Yesterday, I was in my third graders' classroom teaching them how to write a business plan. And the very first thing that we started with was, what problem does this solve? So even if you're doing a book or a fidget spinner or a website, it has to solve a problem. And if you don't know what problem it solves, it's going to be really hard to market it.
Did they figure it out?
Yeah, so I was actually really impressed with the answers. I said, what problem does a fidget spinner solve? And one of the kids said stress. I was like, that's a really insightful answer. And then one of the kids mentioned therapy and counseling. I said, well, what problem does that solve? And she said, bad relationships. I was like, that's amazing.
Wow.
That's really insightful for a third and a fourth grader. I thought that was really cool. So you have to know what problem it solves. So is this a problem that you've had in the past and it's solving it? Like maybe you make like a specific kind of arch support because you couldn't find the arch support that you needed. Well, that tells the customer a lot more about your product than just saying, here is an arch support.
It's what you need. So can you give me an example of a business person who was skeptical but knew they needed to improve their social media? Purchase your service, which is a 3-hour workshop, right? A one-on-one or a group, and came to realize and overcame their hesitancy to do what you're suggesting.
Yeah, well, I'd actually like to give an example of someone who went through my workbook, which is called Finding Local Customers on Social Media.
Oh, and this is about local, right?
Yeah, so this is about how to think about social media as a local tool. So she went through this workbook. It takes a couple of hours to work through because I have you identify, your neighborhood and information about your neighborhood or your business that might be relevant when you're looking for local customers. And then she was doing the work that goes along with it, with like hashtag research and sort of location pins. It gets really like into the details.
Wow.
She sent me a message that before she had even finished doing this sort of exercise that I had asked her to do, she got an inquiry from a local customer, and that she is like an online coach and had never thought about actually trying to cultivate local customers because most of her business is online. So for her, it was this huge light bulb moment that like, oh, I can actually work in my local community. It doesn't have to be online. I don't have to do these services, far-flung across the globe. I can also use social media to get to know people here in my community and serve them as well.
So especially on a show like Business Matters, which is about Tacoma, this is a kind of a revelation for a lot of people. It sounds like they think of social media, they think it opens up the world and I'm going to market to the region or the world. But you're saying that to be effective as a small business, you need to think of social media as a local platform to build your local business?
Yeah, exactly. I think that most people think of social media as this like sudden sort of free tool that they have access to, and they kind of just throw everything at the wall and see what stick. And that can be problematic because it takes a lot of time and you don't really know what's effective. And so one of the things that I encourage my clients to do, but also anybody who's doing sort of social media marketing, is to think about how you can reach local people. And so one of the reasons for this is that I'm a huge supporter of local businesses. And I think that everything that we can do to tie local businesses to each other is going to serve our community and our economy in the long run. And so I think it's really useful to think of social media as a local tool because your customers are there. Your customers want to shop local, which means that they'll refer you to their local friends.
Sure.
But also there's this other element that like if you, let's say you are a biscotti company and you buy your wheat on the East Coast. Well, maybe you don't know that there's a place locally that does like great, handcrafted wheat. Well, if you're connecting locally on social media, somebody's going to tell you that. And then you can source that wheat here. It's not getting shipped, so it's more environmentally friendly. It's local, so you're supporting the local community opportunity in the local economy. And suddenly you have a product that's like double made in Tacoma, you know? And
Wow.
so most people think that they don't have the time to see what they could source locally. And so I just encourage people to think about it a little bit more
Really
critically.
cool. I think it's really great to think of all that this does to build a local community, and I think no one will argue with that. There's a lot of supporters of that here. One of the things that I find interesting about your business is you're a very busy mom, kids in school, and you've found a way to build a business because a lot of people want to, think you hire a social media person, they come and do it for you. You don't do that. You don't want to do that. You teach people to do it through workshops. You control your schedule. You're able to have this business and do everything else you need to do. How's that worked? I mean, if you're talking to other business people who are in your shoes, what advice do you have for them? And what can you tell us about your decision to launch this?
Well, one of the most helpful things I think for small businesses is to learn how to say no to things. So last year I launched Alice Ambitions Consulting in about July, and I had probably a dozen or so inquiries over the course of last year, half of the year, that I said no to. Speaking engagements that were unpaid, or social media management, which I don't really like doing, or like board memberships and things like that. And I just said no. If it didn't line up exactly with where I wanted my business to go and what I wanted to be doing, like personally, like what sort of sets my soul on fire, and it brought in revenue, it was just a no. And knowing what my business goals were and what my purpose is made those no's really easy. I could just say, no, that doesn't work for me, but let me refer you to my other friend who's a speaker and might be available. And that way you can also support other people in the local community.
Oh, wonderful.
Instead of just saying
bring
no.
a positive out of it.
Exactly. So I don't do social media management because I think that it removes the authenticity of social media.
And we're back to authenticity, and that's what you're really all about. This has been a fabulous opportunity to learn about social media and how to do it, and your business sounds great. I think you're going to be fabulous, and I hope everyone out here has learned a lot and has opportunities to think about how they might tap into Allison Bushin's consulting.
Thank you.
Allison, it's all the time we have today. Obviously, we could go on this topic, but I appreciate you having here today.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next, what's happening in the Old Town Business District on District Focus. Connecting people to business is what Tacoma is all about. The Old Town Business District is packed with iconic restaurants and shops wrapped around beautiful waterfront views.
I'm Ruth Delaney, as president of the Old Town Business District. Welcome to Old Town. Old Town Business District is important because Tacoma started here. That's the information we have on our banners, and this is where Tacoma started, and that's part of what makes it special. There are about 110 businesses in our district with about 65 members. The business district tries to unite the interests of all the businesses for a voice in city activities and services. We have about 90% residential and 10% businesses in our overall district. The businesses range from large waterfront eateries to small executive professional offices. We have attorneys, dentists, coffee shops, hair salons, venues for events, property management office, insurance agencies, and a language school. About 10, 11 years ago, they had different salmon throughout the city of Tacoma, and our salmon, Soul Salmon, was taken, held hostage for 10 years, and then he was returned to us this year. So we've got him on a new base that's secure. He won't be going anywhere, and we got to unveil him again. Last year we completed a long-term goal of getting business district banners up. We chose a local artist who is able to depict 4 important parts of our business district: the tall ships, the early fishing and lumber industry, and the job card cabin. Our district wants to build on a very successful summer concert series in the park, our Classical Tuesday concert series, and we also want to be involved in the Old Town Blues Festival. We hope to eliminate some of our commercial vacancies, and onward and upward.
For more information on experiencing Tacoma business, log on to experiencetacoma.com. When we return, Andrew Fry on small business corporate culture. Corporate culture refers to a company's beliefs and values, the way people treat their customers, and the experience the public takes away when engaging with your business. In this edition of Tacoma Means Business, Andrew Fry provides advice on how you can support a positive corporate culture.
Oftentimes the idea of company culture is brought up, and certainly you know that there is such a thing if you think about it. What is Microsoft's culture? What is Amazon's or Google's or any of those large technology companies? You know that there's a company culture that is part of their DNA. And in fact, we've said before, it's an important thing for you to do as a business owner, someone trying to start things out, to build your company culture. We've talked about it before. What I want to talk about today are 5 big mistakes that you might make in terms of building that company culture. So I want to give a thanks to the Small Business Association's website, because they're the ones who sort of prompted me for this idea of these 5 mistakes. So the first one is to have an unclear mission statement. We know that a mission statement can be very important, especially down the road when you're trying to make important decisions. It is an arbiter. You can go back to it and say, does this follow what our mission is? Now, if it's not clear, it's going to be very hard for that to do so. You want to have the goals underneath that you're going to achieve, and the ways that you're going to measure those goals. So it's very important that you make those clear. If they're unclear, they only add to the argument as opposed to settle them. The next thing is you can have the best mission statement in the world, and you can have the greatest goals, and your initiatives may be in place, but if you don't communicate them, if there's poor communication across your company and new hires and even customers and business partners, then really your mission isn't performing its duty. So you want to make sure that you have a good communications plan for your mission statement in order to exact that company culture that you're aiming for. And believe me, we know that in advertising or anything else, it's about repeating. It's about how many times you've been exposed to something before it starts to really settle into place. A third one, a little bit outside of the idea of the mission statement, is poor hiring choices. Now, you can find someone who meets all of the qualifications for the position you're trying to fill, but what is their, approach to life, their passion? What is it that they will demonstrate on a daily basis in terms of what they believe and how they want to conduct business? Those are all things outside of that skill set you're looking for, but are things you need to match to what you've decided your company culture will be. Oftentimes, the biggest hiring decision comes in that face-to-face when you say, this person is a fit for the company. And anything they might be lacking in terms of skills, we can help train up and provide. The fourth possible problem within building up the company culture is the idea of not living your mission. You're the example. You're the one building the culture. And you may have an idea that these are all the great things that you want to see executed within the company and within the product and how you do business. Now you've got to live it. Now you're the one who has to demonstrate this is how you're going to go about and make this mission work. Now, number 5, you truly believe in your mission, your culture, what you're trying to build, your values and your goals. And there are some people who disagree a little bit with what you're saying and maybe how your approach would work. Our instinct is to focus on convincing the resistors. Now, a better approach is to find the people who've bought in and encourage them and explain to them that this is what we want to do and this is who we want to be and this is how I am demonstrating what our culture is. If you're focusing on the resistors, you're basically ignoring the people who are doing exactly what you want to be doing. So even though you're going to be drawn to trying to argue into what it is that you want these folks who are pushing back to do, you are better served to take your energy and prop up those who are demonstrating the culture you're trying to create.
Thanks, Andrew. For more tips for growing your business, check out Tacoma's Community and Economic Development Program at makeittacoma.com. When Business Matters returns, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches right here in Tacoma. Today in the Spotlight, the focus is on authentic East Coast food from the city of brotherly love, made here in the heart of the city of destiny.
Hey, I'm Scott,
Michelle?
and welcome to Straight from Philly.
Scott is from Philadelphia, and both he and Michelle are restaurateurs who travel the country looking for a place to bring the taste of Philly.
I love a cheesesteak because, of course, I'm from Philly. I got tired of going to different places and they're claiming that they have a cheesesteak and being disappointed. So I said, wait a minute, I think I can do a cheesesteak business. I love cheesesteak, so that's where I got started at.
With more than 24 choices of cheesesteak, Michelle says her business model is to bring the taste of Philly to the mouths of hungry Tacoma customers. This means keeping the integrity of authentic Philly cheesesteak sandwiches really authentic.
We bring a true, authentic cheesesteak to the Pacific Northwest. We use meat from Philadelphia. Our bread gets shipped in from Philadelphia. World famous Omarosa rolls. It is what put cheesesteaks on the map, what put Philly on the map. Nobody wants a cheesesteak every day, so we do offer hoagies, true East Coast hoagies. We offer burgers and we offer gyros.
Straight from Philly menu items are designed for variety and to keep a focus on East Coast foods with a Northwest twist.
I want to be the place where people can come, explore the menu every day of the week, and not have the same thing twice.
Michelle and Scott have already launched and perfected their Philly cheesesteak business in Texas and Nevada. Michelle says their operational style worked well for their growing business.
We developed a cooking method that is we replicated pretty much how it's done in Philadelphia. So we took that and developed it and ran with it, and that's how we have what we have.
On its opening day, Michelle found that the price of popularity required some rapid changes to Straight from Philly, things they didn't anticipate.
We had so many people come through the door the first 2 weeks. I had to redo the entire business operation. The whole entire model that we operate out the door. We doubled everything in the kitchen. We went from, like I said, we started just Scott and I, and now we have a staff of, I have two cooks to keep up with the demand.
Scott and Michelle both knew that a lunch crowd needs to get in and out with time to sit and eat before heading back to work.
And that's the one thing that I do is I respect people's time. And I understand that people have 30 minutes for lunch.
Originally, Scott and Michelle were the sole staff, but when things changed, Straight from Philly blossomed into a family business.
We're truly a family-owned business, pretty much 6-crew operation outside of me and my wife, and we just make it come together to serve the public.
Michelle says this family approach comes from unique employee hiring opportunities with another organization.
We've partnered with the Rescue Mission, and people that need employment that would normally be considered. And I feel as though I have little diamonds in the rough with my people. They're amazing. They're like family.
In between moments of chopped grilled steaks smothered in onions and cheese, Michelle is learning more about the marketing side of their business in the Northwest, where social media is crucial.
I had to focus on a social media campaign, and I'm still focusing on that. It's a little bit difficult for me because, like I said, we did not have to do that where we came from.
Scott and Michelle are already making plans as big as their cheesesteaks, including expansion and further growth in the Northwest.
Our ultimate end goal, and we're currently putting the pieces into place now, is to have multiple locations here and then move forward with a franchise option.
And to answer the question of why launch Straight from Philly in Tacoma, Scott has this answer.
We didn't choose Tacoma. Tacoma chose us. We were looking to expand our business outside of Las Vegas. Everything just lined up, and we decided to, hey, let's plant the flag here.
Michelle tells the story of how a little ping on her cell phone brought them to downtown Tacoma.
This little red dot on the internet pinged at me, which is this multiple listing site that I was looking at, and this property came up, and I said, what is Tacoma? Where is Tacoma? And what? So we looked at it, and the realtor sent us a video, and the first time Scott viewed the video, he said, that's it. That is it.
Scott and Michelle say Straight from Philly is the business of a lifetime for entrepreneurs specializing in a unique product of meat, spice, and a heck of a lot of cheese for the people of Tacoma.
It's been a challenge, it's been different, but it's been very exciting, and I'm just super glad that he saw the potential.
That's it for Business Matters. Join me next time for more insight into the Tacoma business scene. See you then.